We love stainless steel skillets in the test kitchen. While cast iron, carbon steel, and even nonstick have been pushing them out of the limelight, these are still our top choice for golden uniform browning and to develop fond. A fond is the secret weapon of chefs. Those brown bits of stuck food at the bottom of your pan are the key to super flavorful dishes and pan sauces, but only if you have a high-quality skillet, because bad pans leave fond that's skimpy or scorched. We also love that these pans are all metal. They can go right from the stovetop into the oven to finish cooking thicker cuts of meat and fish, or to bake skillet pies or skillet roast whole chickens. Unlike carbon steel or cast iron pans, stainless won't react with acidic foods, so you can cook without fear of metallic flavors or damaging the pan's seasoning. Plus, stainless will never wear out like nonstick. So, if you want perfect searing, super flavorful sauces, and cook anything stove to oven versatility for a lifetime, you need this pan. Now, we've had a long-time favorite. It's called the All-Clad D3 stainless 12-inch frying pan with lid, which sells for about $120. It may not look that special, but this pan has hidden technology. It's built from layers of different metals bonded together, using a process patented in 1967 by a metallurgist called John Ulam, who founded the company All-Clad. When the whole pan is made this way with layers of metal, it's called fully clad, and it works like a charm. This pan has 3 layers, aluminum sandwiched on top and bottom by stainless steel. The layering means you get the best of both metals. Aluminum's fast heat conduction, controlled by slower transmitting heat-retaining steel, and all that translates to beautiful, even golden browning. Now, sometimes you see pans that have clad bottoms. Those we call disc bottom pans, and you'll see a little seam along the side that shows you they literally stuck a disc of steel and aluminum onto the bottom of a thin steel pan. This is a much cheaper way to try to layer metals, and frankly, it just doesn't work as well, especially in a skillet. You get scorched food all around the edges where the disc doesn't reach, and the disc itself tends to heat very slowly and then get too hot. Skip disc bottom pans. Now, recently we've seen many more fully clad pans on the market. Some boast even more metal layers, plus other special features at pretty stunning prices. Even All-Clad launched a 5-layer skillet, the D5 stainless, making us wonder if our old favorite was still the best choice. So we bought 15 fully clad 12-inch skillets, priced from $47.99 to $400. We put them through tons of cooking tests, browning onions, searing strip steaks, and making pan sauce from the fond, sautéing green beans, pan roasting asparagus, and cooking a whole cut-up chicken that starts on the stove and finishes in the oven, and then building a pan sauce from the drippings. We scrubbed the pans by hand and in the dishwasher. We checked for warping, then we even knocked them around to simulate years of use. These pans can be a great investment, but only if they last. The good news is that we cooked successfully in most of these pans, and where we saw major differences was in how easy they were to use. Sadly, we had less success with cheaper pans priced less than $100. It seems that in this category, shelling out a little more money does pay off. First, size. While they're all 12-inch skillets, the sides slope differently, leaving you more or less actual cooking space. Some of the cheaper pans were just 8 inches across. We preferred pans with wide cooking surfaces from 9¼ to 10½ inches across. That let food fit without crowding so it could brown. If it's crowded, food steams instead of searing. But too big is not good either. The biggest skillets were also super heavy, as much as 4¼ pounds empty. Lifting these was no fun, especially when they were ripping hot from the oven full of sizzling chicken. Our favorite pan was much easier to maneuver. It weighs 2¾ pounds and has 9½ inches of cooking surface. That gave it enough room to cook comfortably while feeling light and well balanced, whether it was empty or full. Now, handle shape and size matter for your sense of control. Some of these handles were too thick or too thin, which strained our hands. And if they're too round and smooth, they often slipped in our hands. And that's especially scary when they're slippery with grease and full of hot food. What we liked were handles with angled shapes that didn't slip. Some of these also had a Y shape that was supposed to help the handle stay cool. That just didn't work. Most of them still got hot, especially right where we wanted to grab them. Our favorites stayed cool and actually let us skip pot holders most of the time. Now, one thing about these big heavy skillets, they have so-called helper handles. Those didn't help. They just added weight that threw the pans off balance, and they were useless when we needed to hold the pan up with one hand. They got hot. They trapped grime. You don't need helper handles on a skillet. In fact, these handles were a symptom of our lowest ranked pans, which were bigger and heavier overall, with shapes like sauté pans. They were wide, they were heavy, they had tall sides with straight walls. And that's the kind of pan we prefer for braises and other liquid heavy dishes. A skillet works best if it's light, trim, and well balanced with low flaring sides that encourage evaporation for better browning, not steaming or stewing. And do you need a 5-layer skillet? No. In our tests, 5 layers cooked about the same as 3 layers, so why pay almost $100 more for them? When we compared the All-Clad D5 skillet to its 3-layer D3 skillet, the 5-layer pan was a bit heavier and cooked a bit more slowly. Now this makes sense since that 5-layer pan contains extra steel, and as you know, steel transmits heat more sluggishly than aluminum. Now other pans with 5 layers ranked even lower due to other design problems, and they also cost more. Now high-tech features on the pricey pans were mostly a bust. Do you really need nano-bonded titanium like on this fancy Heston skillet? It looks great, but we didn't see any functional benefit. In fact, the darker color only made it harder to monitor browning. And we had to constantly use its proprietary cleanser or it looked blotchy. It did cook nicely, but it seemed like a stretch to spend $400 for this pan. If we pay a lot for a pan, we expect great durability. After all our cooking tests, we checked to see if any pans had warped. Then we checked again after heating the pans to 500 degrees and plunging them into ice water, then striking them 3 times on a concrete block. Now here the inexpensive pans had a real problem. 5 of the 8 warped just from routine use, and after our abuse tests, 3 of them had wiggly handles too. In the more expensive pans, only 1 showed very slight warping, and all the handles stayed solid. Now on all 15 pans, we could see dents where we'd struck them, ranging from pretty bad to barely there. Our old winner from All-Clad held up through all of this with no warping, an intact handle, and almost undetectable dents. Now to understand why some pans were tougher, we consulted the Material Science and Engineering department at MIT, where Mike Tarkanian explained that thicker pans would be less prone to warping and denting, and would tend to cook better too. He said thinner pans would have less heat retention because there's less thermal mass, and they'd probably run a little hotter and have worse heat distribution. Sure enough, when we measured the thickness of their cooking surfaces, the best performing pans were 3 to 3.3 millimeters thick. Lower ranked pans were thinner, as low as 2.4 millimeters. This helped explain why some cheaper, thinner pans had a problem maintaining heat. For instance, with steak, we'd get a great brown crust on the first side, but when we flipped to the second side, weaker pans seemed to lose heat and struggle, giving us poorer browning and skimpier fond. Tarkanian also ground into the pans so we could look at the metal layers under a microscope. We could see that some pans had different thicknesses of inner and outer layers of metal, which could also contribute to warping as they heat and cool at different rates. Now, in the end, while we recommended several of these pans, only 1 pan had it all. The All-Clad D3 stainless 12-inch frying pan, our old winner, it won again. At a moderate price of $120, it even includes a lid. It performs beautifully, it's easy to use, and it proved itself to be tough as nails. This is a pan that will last a lifetime.